Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some Finnish cinnamon buns or cinnamon rolls. These are known as Korvapuusti in Finland, which I'm reliably informed by reading up refers to slapped ears. So these are similar to most other cinnamon buns, particularly the Scandinavian ones, in that they have cinnamon in them, but the dough in this instance also has cardamom to flavour that as well. And the difference with these buns is that you roll them up and you cut them into a rough triangle with maybe 3/4 of an inch at the top edge and sort of much wider at the bottom edge. And then you turn up onto the bottom edge and press down on the top edge so that the sides splay out, so to speak. So you see two sides of the swirl basically as you enjoy the bun. So they're not difficult to make, but they take time, as most yeasted doughs do, but they should be very, very tasty indeed. So I'll go on to the ingredients. So I should explain that I have enough ingredients here for a double batch of these Korvapuusti, but I'm only actually going to make a single batch of those particular rolls, and I'm going to use the remaining dough for something else. And if you just want to do a single batch, you can halve the ingredients. The only difference being that where this recipe for the double batch calls for 1 medium egg, you would need to use only half of that egg, but you could save the other half of the egg for an egg wash later, because we need an egg wash later. So for the ingredients, I have 1 kilogram, which is 6 2/3 cups based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of bread flour, and I may not need quite all of that. I have 500 millilitres, 2 cups plus 4 teaspoons of milk, and I have that lukewarm. That's at about 42 degrees Celsius, 110 Fahrenheit. I have 170 grams, 12 tablespoons of soft unsalted butter, 180 grams, 3/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons plus a teaspoon of sugar, 1 medium egg, which would be large in the USA. I have 9 grams of salt, which is 1.5 teaspoons. I have 16 grams, 5 teaspoons of instant yeast. Now, if you only have the packets of yeast, 2 packets is probably 14 or 15 grams. You could use that. You just need to let the dough proof for that little bit longer probably. Then I have 9 grams, 4 teaspoons of ground cardamom. So that's everything for the dough. And then for the cinnamon filling, I have 150 grams, 10 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons of unsalted butter, which will be soft by the time I need it. 75 grams, 6 tablespoons of caster sugar, and I have 12 grams, 5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. In addition to those, I'm going to use 1 egg for an egg wash, and I'm going to use some pearl sugar, which I have in another cupboard. I'll get that out when I need it. So that's all the ingredients, and the first thing we need to do is to make our dough. And to make the dough, I'm going to put into the bowl of my stand mixer my milk, and I'm going to sprinkle the yeast over that, and then add the sugar as well, and then I'm going to put in the egg, and my cardamom, and I'm going to mix those until they're fully combined. And that's good enough like that. So then I'm going to add in about half of my flour. And I'm going to mix that until it comes together basically, and as it does so I'm going to sprinkle over my salt as well. And I'm going to add some more flour and mix it, and I'm going to mix it and add a little bit more flour until I have a shaggy dough basically. And as you can see, that dough is already quite shaggy. So with the mixer running the whole time, I'm going to gradually add in my butter and mix it, continue mixing until that gets fully combined as well. And that's got the butter mixed through quite nicely. So I'm going to knead the dough, adding more flour until the dough all comes together cleanly away from the bowl. And I'm going to knead it until it's soft and springy basically. Now as you can see, that's coming away quite cleanly from the bowl, from the side of the bowl, and I still have at least 2 tablespoons of flour left, which I probably won't need. But I'm now going to knead this until I have a nice soft and springy dough. So I've kneaded my dough for about 8 minutes, and I know that it's not sticky at all, and the dough isn't sticky in the least. It's nice and soft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just form that into a ball, and as you can see the bowl is nice and clean. So I'm going to cover that with my lid, and I'm going to leave it in a warm place for it to double in size. And that might take an hour, it might take longer, it depends on the temperature of your kitchen basically. But once it's doubled in size, I'll come back and I will have divided the dough in 2 by then, and I will use half of it to make our Korvapuusti. So I have divided my dough into 2 pieces after letting it proof for about an hour and a half, and this piece weighs 940 grams, and I'm going to roll this out into a rectangle which is about 20 to 22 inches wide and about 12 inches deep. So about 53 centimetres by 30 centimetres. That should be good enough. And as you can see, I've slightly floured my surface. Now, as with these yeasted doughs, it tends to be a little bit difficult sometimes to roll it out because it likes to spring back. And if that's the case, then you just have to potentially let it rest for a little bit and then roll it a little bit more. And that's good enough like that. So then I'm going to take about half of my butter, because as I said, I'm only doing half a batch like this. And I'm going to spread that over the dough. And I'm going to leave an edge there. And with the batter spread, I'm going to put my cinnamon into my sugar. And I'm just going to give that a little bit of a mix. And then I'm going to use a strainer to sift it over the top of the butter. And again, I'm only going to use about half of this, because the other half will be for my other piece of dough. And that's good enough like that. So then I'm going to take this bottom edge and I'm going to start to roll it up quite tightly. Like that. And that's good enough. And then I'm going to cut this into the shapes that I suggested. And I'm going to start that by cutting maybe halfway across diagonally. And it may be that a serrated knife will work better. Like that. And then I'm going to cut this way as well, but I need to leave some of the dough there, so maybe like that. And do the same this way. And the size you make them is up to you, basically. So I can see I have one rather large one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a baking tray and I'm going to put these onto a baking tray. And I'm going to stand it on the wide end like that. And then with a finger or with a wooden spoon or something like that, I'm going to press down I'm going to press quite firmly like that, and that spreads the roll out basically. And with those flattened like that, I'm going to cover them with a towel, and I'm going to leave them to proof for about 30 minutes. And during that 30 minutes I'm going to preheat my oven to 225 Celsius, 205 Celsius with a fan, 435 I think. Yes, 435. And once the oven is preheated and these have risen, I'll come back and we'll brush them with some egg, put the pearl sugar on and bake them. So I've left these for about 30 minutes as my oven preheats, and I'm now going to brush over the tops with some beaten egg. And then I'm simply going to take some pearl sugar and I'm going to sprinkle it liberally on each one. If you don't have pearl sugar, you can use granulated sugar. You could use demerara sugar. Like that, and I'm going to put those into the oven and I'm going to bake them for between 10 and 15 minutes. They should rise up and they'll turn a nice brown colour, and you leave them in the oven until they're as brown as you want them to be. Some people like them lighter, some people like them darker. That's a matter of choice for you, but after 10 to 15 minutes they will be cooked all the way through. Then I take them out of the oven and put them onto a wire rack, and as they cool down I'll come back and show you what they look like. I baked my Korvapuusti, or my Finnish cinnamon rolls, for 15 minutes. They rose up very nicely, they browned nicely on the top, so I took them out of the oven and I put them onto a wire rack, and they're still warm, and I did read somewhere that they're best served warm, but I'm sure they'll be fine cold, and I know you can equally freeze them and you can reheat them if you want to. So I'll show you what they look like, and as you can see they baked up quite nicely. They have the nice swirl on them and you can see it on both sides basically, which is the signature of this particular type of cinnamon bun. So I've already tasted one of the off-cut ones and I'll have another taste of it now. It's lightly crisp on the outside and lovely and soft inside, and with the wonderful flavour of cardamom and cinnamon, and they work very well together. And then the little crunch of the pearl sugar as well. So these are very, very good. I think they'd be perfect for breakfast. If you had some frozen, you could almost take them out of the freezer the night before and pop them in the fridge, and then just put them into a toaster oven or something for a few minutes just to reheat them. Be absolutely perfect. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.